What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Next Win Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma, co host Justin Vaseur, and special guest, Bryan Pham, who is co founder of Asian Hustle Network. Thank you for being here today. So, we have a lot of questions to ask because, we've seen your company grow so fast and so big in a short amount of years. And I just want to know the man before Asian Hustle Network. Who were you? What was your career before this, and how old are you?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually turning 34
Okay.
Oh
next
wow.
month. So by the time this pod comes out, I'm already 34.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. Happy birthday.
Thank
Happy
you, thank you.
birthday.
Yeah. So before Asian Hustle Network, I was a software engineer.
Nice.
So I did this about 10 years, and halfway through, I would say like working as a software engineer for about 5 years, I started doing real estate.
Oh
Right? I
nice.
started I started flipping houses. I started buying apartments. I started to realize like there's more to life than just having a 9 to 5. And
Oh.
that kind of got me down like the entrepreneurial thinking path while still having my 9 to 5.
Mhm.
Right. For me, I couldn't leave my 9 to 5 just because I have a lot of financial obligations. Support my family, support my parents. Really traditional in my family in a way where it's like the kids take care of the family, and in my situation at least, it's kind of it's a little bit tougher because not to say anything against my parents, they're really good people, but financially we were struggling like almost all my entire life, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now we're making six figures, which I mean, out of college, you think that's a lot of money, and you realize quickly that you're supporting your parents on it, yourself, trying to live in the Bay Area. You're like, dude, this is not enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is like
for
I'm
sure.
struggling.
Living in the Bay Area like that, that's definitely not enough. That's like paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was struggling, so I was like, okay, I need to find other sources of income.
Yeah.
So originally my intention wasn't to get into real estate. It was when I moved to the Bay Area that my roommate at the time got me into real estate. So shout out to Sean Pan.
Oh, nice. That was your roommate.
That's my roommate.
Oh,
Yeah,
dope.
yeah. So he got me into real estate. So we actually started at the same time, same day,
Wow.
same event. And it's like no one's more apples to apples than him.
Yeah.
That's
But now he's
funny.
crushing it. There's
Yeah,
all his
he's a
videos.
killer.
Yeah. So I kind of moved on to Asian Hustle Network, but that was what I did before. Yeah.
Nice. So, when you're doing software engineer stuff, like I don't even honestly, I have never met or have a friend who does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of those people live in the Bay still. So, like,
Yeah.
what does a software engineer do?
It's really broad feel, right? It's either you do backend stuff, you do web development, you work on compilers, it's you could do servers and bring up, you know, from my situation, I started out as a web developer, then made my way into a backend developer for satellites or at Boeing. And then I kind of made my way into a newer profession, which is called site reliability engineering, which means that we make sure that the company never goes down, right? And every time you're doing updates, like we have something called like zero downtime, where you make sure that even if you're doing updates, the website's still functional and it's still running,
Mm.
and suddenly there's new features that integrate into the website.
Oh, that's pretty
And the
cool.
reason why I did that because I was on like payscale.com or something. I was like, software engineering is right here, but this new job profession pays right here. I'm gonna switch to that role and get paid
Yeah.
more. It's not
Yeah.
because I
Smart.
liked it, because I was like, okay, I can make more money.
Was it a
Right.
pretty smooth transition?
It was pretty most things in life. It was pretty hard at first
Oh,
because you
okay.
have to convince people around you that you are reliable and that you're dependable and you can learn fast.
Yeah.
So it took me a few tries to like switch over.
Mm.
But it always takes one person, one company to take a chance on you, and you learn all the ropes. And now you have that job title, and it's super easy to like find that job for the next time.
Mm.
What did you do before software engineering?
Oh man, what did I do?
Because we came from the same place. You said you moved to San Francisco during that time, and I
Yeah,
know you're, born and raised in the SGV, San
yeah,
Gabriel Valley area,
yeah.
and you went to San Gabriel High School
I
or
went to Gabriel
Diabolino.
High School. Yeah,
Okay, Yeah, so talking about segregations and things like that, when I went to Arcadia High, I was like, I hate Gabrielino people and San Gabriel
What?
people.
You think you're better than us?
No,
I was kidding.
there's just always like, Asian gangs there at that time and so many fights, and now you
Yeah.
just hate those cities overall. And like,
Yeah.
it's just really bad, right? But, what were you doing out of high school in that area? Because I haven't, like I said, I haven't met people from our area who's been so successful in software engineering before.
Yeah. Well, I think my graduating class had a lot of doctors that graduated during that year.
What college was this?
It was high school.
Oh,
So
high
my high
school.
school friend.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of
Mm.
doctors from Gabrielino.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. One of my closest friends is Patrick. He's a doctor right now. Yeah.
Wow, I'm from Arcadia, where they say is like the best Asian school in like America, and I don't know any doctors from my class. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there is other activities. We're well aware of it, right? Just grow up in an area where it's like you kind of know who's a part of what know who to avoid. Your EQ is a lot higher
Yeah,
just because you're like interacting it. You're like, okay, this is how. Like, you're just eating like a normal meal. You know how it is. So you eat like Garden Cafe or something, and you're like, oh yeah, I know that guy who's in that affiliate with that. But it's
Yeah.
weird if I just walk and not say hi. So I have to say hi.
Right.
You have to know your inner politics growing up because you don't want to get your ass kicked.
Right.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I hated the most, and especially in another episode where you talk about how there's so much politics within the Asian community,
Yeah.
and so you always have to show face.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like an Asian mafia movie, except it's high school. You're like, oh man. And for sure, like it's like a bunch of 17 or 16-year-olds with tattoos already.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary back then.
Yeah. That's crazy.
yeah, that describes a little bit of me right there.
Wait, you were 16, 17 with tattoos?
I was 18 with tattoos,
Okay,
but
I
I
mean,
was like,
you're legal.
Yeah.
14, 15 with like earrings and like
Oh yeah.
like 6 piercings, things like that.
Yeah, that's not scary.
I'm really curious about the real estate part of it.
Yeah.
What was like your first purchase or
Yeah.
flip or whatever?
So my first flip was in LA. This is back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, long story short, I went to this website called biggerpockets.com.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And at that time, like, I didn't know shit about real estate. Like, no one really taught me anything.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I read books, it's like really incomplete. Or you meet people, they give you like incomplete information. So I
Yeah.
realized like, okay, I need to get over my hump. I spent 2 years networking, learning. Like, I need to like overcome my fears and do my first deal.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Bigger Pockets. I saw this guy doing a deal in one of the forums. So he looked like a dependable guy, who's answering everyone's questions. I DM him randomly and I was like, hey, like, let's do a deal together. Right. And he's like, oh, yeah, I have a project in South LA that's coming up. Do you want to be a part of it? And then within meeting him and then wiring the money and everything was like 2 days.
Are you serious?
Wow.
How much money were you wiring this guy?
It started out with 25,000.
Oh my
And
god.
then as the
Wow.
project escalated, it was like, 75, which is like, at the time was a lot. I was like 26
Yeah.
or something.
So was there even agreements and contracts within those 2
Oh
days?
yeah, there was agreement, but it was like looking back so flimsy.
Yeah, I mean, like I think at
It
that
sounds
age,
crazy.
I don't
huh?
even know how to read contracts like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like I will only care about something if my skin's in the game,
Right.
right? And at the time, the money was astronomically large for me. Where it's like, oh my god, I almost saved $100,000. I was panicking. I was like, dude, like, what am I gonna do if I lose this?
Yeah.
And I told myself that everything is relative, right? You may think it's a lot right now, but you always make that money back if you lose it. Knowledge is more important. I don't know
I see
why
what
I
you
was
mean.
thinking it that way, but this is me at 26.
Yeah.
I was like, my life, I'm going to do a lot more in my life. I'm going to make a lot more. I have to take this risk. Otherwise, I won't learn. Good or bad, I learn a good lesson from it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And what happened with that deal?
It went pretty well. I against all advice, like, please don't now follow my footsteps. Like, I just got really lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So we did this project in 6 to 8 months. And we sold it for a net profit of like 300,000.
So it was a fixer upper.
It's a fixer upper.
Just a one single unit.
Yeah, it's crazy because if we would have held onto that unit right now, or that house, it'd be like 1.6 or something.
Wow.
And keep in mind that 2015, 2016, 2017 in South LA, like you can pick up a house out there for like 300 or 400K,
Yeah.
right? So we picked it up for like 372.
Wow.
We sold it for like 7 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy. So like the money that you're wiring him, was it all for like the repairs and all that?
Repairs, escrow, all these, all these
Dang.
things, but got into it, found myself really addicted. I'm, oh my God, I made my salary in like 6 months or 7 months,
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So so we did 1 or 2 more together in LA. And then we finally had enough money to go back to the Bay Area to like flip houses there. That's
Why
where I
did?
was living there anyways.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So
So I
you.
was flipping in LA first because I couldn't find anything that's made any sense in the Bay. And every
Oh.
fixer upper is like over $1 million.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it. It's like, dude, my 75K like would not even buy a doorknob here. What the hell's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
do you continue to mess around with real estate, or you kind
Not
of
as
slow down?
much. Yeah. When I transitioned over to Asian Hustle Network, real estate was a little bit on the back burner side,
Mm.
just because when I transitioned to AHN, I left my job. So that kind of forced me to like just focus on AHN because I didn't have, and the real estate game has a lot of holes,
Yeah.
right? I didn't have the W-2 income to secure loans, right?
Mm.
Even though there's money, right? I didn't have enough to like leverage anything. So in that 2 years, I was waiting to like file my new income underneath AHN to continue buying houses again. I just focus on AHN.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And we kind of touched on this on the last one, but how long ago did you start AHN?
Yeah. So I started this almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
November 2019.
okay. And did you foresee it getting as big as it is now?
I did. I kind of had a feeling that this was going to be something big.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to launching, we did a lot of planning as well. What we wanted to look like, what we wanted it to do. I thought it was going to take a few years for it to even grow. I didn't think it was going to take weeks or months.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
It was like,
insane.
holy moly, like grew pretty fast.
Like
Mhm.
how
They
how
step
did
up.
how did people even find the Facebook group on the first day in the first week?
So we started out by just inviting our friends to join.
Oh, I
And we kind
see.
of told them about the mission, and they started inviting their friends, becoming like a network effect
Yeah.
really quickly. Um, People started talking about it. They get really excited about it, and it just rapidly grew. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, thank you for creating that and even thinking of something like this. I think everyone appreciates you and Asian Hustle Network.
I think it's really cool to hear your backstory too, like where you started and getting
Yeah.
into real estate and then going into that. That's
It's
Yeah.
so relatable.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
You're just a normal human being who just made things great, man.
Yeah,
So thank
Just
you.
gotta try new things. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid.
it's kind of inspiring actually, because I feel like I'm scared of doing things. It takes me a long time to make decisions. So like hearing your story, I'm like, bro, I need to start, especially the real estate thing. Like you just wanted to
Yeah.
attack it. You're like, it's finally time to make those moves.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it might be time for me to buy something or
Yeah.
Was that your like all in or nothing type of move that you did?
Sort of. Yeah. That was probably the most risky thing I've done in real estate. Is I I read a lot of books, talked to a lot of people, and I felt ready, right? I felt like I understood the lingo, but there's a part of it where at that time I felt like a poser because I've been going out to like meetups and conferences, and like I know everybody in the industry at this point.
And you had
I
nothing.
had nothing to show for it, and I wanted to like get my hands dirty and like really learn how to do things,
yeah,
right? Spending time at Home Depot, looking at paint colors, looking
yeah,
at like Pinterest for art designs, figuring out the hard way that, oh yeah, I should put in the cabinets for the floor, the floor for the cabinets. You're like, fuck,
yeah,
why is the floor crooked? You're like, shit, or like just forgetting that the city, or you have different rules for different cities. Where it's like, some parts the city requires they come into the house and check it for inspection to sign off on it. And then sometimes you forget about that. You already like painted the walls and everything. The city's, hey, we got caught a hole here. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
You gotta redo
yeah.
it. Yep.
Yeah, so all these like stupid mistakes start adding up. I'm like, oh my god, okay, I'm learning not to do this. Do this,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's
that's
so
all
cool.
great knowledge, especially since you didn't know anything about housing, real estate, and all that. So that's,
yeah,
I think you learned that pretty quick.
yeah. You learn that pretty quick. When your money's on the line and you want to make something happen, you're on a time crunch. When you have money on the line, man, you're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, you figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes
Cool.
perfect sense. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Next Win podcast. Make sure you check out Bryan in the description box and also everything, every place we upload. So we'll see you guys next time.